Well, new tonight, Governor Newsom signed a number of new gun laws, tightening restrictions and increasing protections for victims.
It comes as the state already has some strict gun laws in place.
As if California wasn't restrictive enough, Gavin Newsom seems to be heading for the gold medal when it comes to the gun control Olympics. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms for NRA certification, multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like channel-like content, what I do here, you can support me with the link. Everything appreciated. And once again, for your comments, YouTube is coming down on gun-related channels. So if your comment disappears without notice, that's the issue. Okay? If I remove your comment, you're going to know about it because I will tell you. So just be aware that that is happening. Let's talk about this. And as if California and Newsom, as Trump likes to call them out there in California, as if they couldn't put any more restrictions on, they just went ahead and did a whole lot more. Now, there were a slew of what they call gun bills that came before the houses in California, and only 11 of the 24 proposed bills were bipartisan. Those bills dealt with school safety, resource officers at schools, and so forth and so on. Very healthy bills that actually help to prevent crime and criminal activity and shootings. The other 13 were all anti-gun bills brought forward by progressive Democrats. Not one of them addresses the actual problem of crime and violence, but once again, feel-good nonsense that only the law-abiding will follow. If your only answer to crime and violence is to make laws that only the law-abiding will follow, you are not serious about gun safety. As much as they like to call it gun safety, in reality it's gun control. But they call it gun safety because that's the new cliche word to throw out there to let people know that we're not really trying to take guns, which we actually are. We're just renaming it to make it sound palatable to your ears. But I'm going to come into here. Newsom, a career Democrat who previously served as the state's lieutenant governor of California and the mayor of San Francisco. Notice San Francisco is a shithole. The latter, while Kamala Harris was district attorney, birds of a feather, has always positioned himself as being a tough on guns, and this week was no exceptions. In the absence of congressional action, our state is once again leading the way by strengthening our nation's leading gun law, said Newsom in a statement issued by the office alongside the bill signing of 24 measures. While Newsom's office described the latest gun control package as bipartisan, the Democrat-dominated Assembly, 62-17, Senate 31-9, state legislature sent most of the bills to his desk only after largely partisan votes, with several Democrats even crossing the line to canvass with the GOP on the more controversial proposals such as SB 53. I'm not going to read all these, but these are the 11 bills that I talked about before that were bipartisan in nature, and they basically did with school safety, expanded risk assessments, pretty much common sense things, which I would call common sense. But here are the 13. I want to go through them because what is going on out there is what these people want everywhere, and you have got to pay attention to the language that they use. Because blue states, this is coming to you. Red states, they would love nothing more to flip you blue to get this kind of trash through. But the anti-gun measures include AB 1252, codifies the Attorney General's gun ban advocating Office of Gun Violence Prevention as detailed by the NRA-ILA. While proponents claim the purpose is to conduct research, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, a newly established commission, will likely only serve to advocate for gun control policies using taxpayers' dollars. And they pretty much did that here in Connecticut. They put together a gun violence study form through one of their bills that they passed last year. And all it was anti-gun people are the only ones that they actually entertained to be on that board. What kind of proposals do you think they're going to come up with? But AB 2642, create a presumption that a person who openly carries a firearm, real or fake, while near election-related activities could be presumed to have engaged in prohibited intimidation. So if you're carrying a gun, whether you have a permit for it or not, and you're in the vicinity of a voting area, they're going to immediately assume that you're engaged in intimidation. Done. AB 2739 would deem an unlawfully carried firearm a nuisance and subject to forfeiture and destruction. What does that mean? Notice the wording here. Would deem an unlawfully carried firearm. What does that mean? The person has a permit. What does that mean? They just happen to be in the wrong place? What are they talking about? See, this is such aloof language, but there's a reason why it's aloof, because they can apply this as broadly as they want to. AB 2842, require a law enforcement agency that contracts with a third party to destroy firearms to ensure that the contract blocks the later sale of any parts of or attachments to the firearm, which is irrelevant because they can only sell it to people who can actually own it, who are law abiding. Once again, it's just destroying supply. That's all. Wherever that gun comes from, there's seizures, what have you, legal seizures. Let me be clear about that. They then can't be resold to law-abiding people. See, it's like I said, they're destroying the supply. That's all that's for. AB 2917 expands California's existing red flag seizure laws to make it easier for the court to issue such orders. Once again, you have a beef with your neighbor makes an accusation against you, it's now easier for them to just take your guns from you. Violation of the Fourth Amendment and the Sixth, actually. The NRA ILA notes, if issued gun violence protective orders result in a 5-year firearm prohibition subject to indefinite renewals, these so-called red flag laws deprive citizens of their fundamental rights and property without due process safeguards and a clear evidentiary basis. Exactly. AB 3064 adds pages of new guidelines to the state's already legally suspect approved roster of gun safes and safety devices. Okay? According to the gun owners of California, unfortunately, this bill will do little to chill the criminal use of firearms. None of them will. That's not what they're for. Nor will it increase the overall safety of the public. Rather, it will force business entities to pay a fee to the state for the simple purpose of having a firearm safety device on the market in California. Further, and more significantly, the bill will place lawful responsible gun owners in a precarious position of falling outside of the law should one of these devices no longer be on the certified list. Do I have to explain why that's there? Once again, to play gotcha. To literally make so many laws that the law-abiding cannot follow them. That's what that is about. It just gets worse and worse. SB 53, mandatory firearm storage. The NRA notes SB 53 ignores the U.S. Supreme Court decision in D.C. versus Heller, which argued that the storage requirements that prevent gun owners from easily accessing their firearms are unconstitutional. Do you really think that Democrats care about what is constitutional on that? It has nothing to do with it. It's about them and their power, their authoritarian power, period. SB 758 makes it a felony for an adult to illegally transfer a centerfire semi-automatic rifle to a minor. Illegally transfer. That makes no sense. It's a waste. That was a waste of paper right there. But SB 899 extends the firearm and ammunition surrender procedures that currently apply to domestic violence restraining orders to red flag seizure cases, including authorized search warrants for ammo. SB 902 strips gun rights from those convicted of a misdemeanor animal cruelty crime. The Ella Baker Center for Human Rights lobbied against the move. That's, once again, I'll talk about that in a minute. SB 965 requires detailed reporting of the state inspections of firearm dealers and ammunition vendors. That's dangerous because, once again, the state, you have to get approval from the state to sell firearms in that state as an FFL. So the state gets your little report from the ATF, and they go, you're just kind of skirting it a little bit, in our opinion. Not necessarily what the ATF says, what we think. So we're not going to renew your, there's a local license. We're not going to renew it. You can't sell guns in this anymore. That's what it's going to lead to. SB 1002 bans the possession of ammunition for individuals already subject to some mental illness-related firearms prohibitions and authorizes search warrants for compliance. California attorneys for criminal justice oppose the measure. SB 1019 mandates that guns confiscated, seized, abandoned, unclaimed, or surrendered to law enforcement in a state that is marked for disposal have to be destroyed in its entirety by smelting, shredding, crushing, or cutting all parts of the firearm, including any attachments. There it is. All right, let me come out of that. So you can see not one of those addresses crime. Not one of those addresses actual crime and violence. None of them do. It's all about the law-abiding citizen making it damn near impossible for them to exercise that right in the state. That's exactly what that's all about. Is creating more and more roadblocks for the average person. That's what all of them do. And they're all signed into law. And now, even though several of them are unconstitutional by already established precedent, DC versus Heller, as you saw in that one, they're going to have to sue. And the state doesn't care because the state uses taxpayer money to defend itself, while the plaintiffs have to use their money to actually bring a charge against the state. That's the problem. That's why they do these kinds of things. They don't care. They don't care whose money they're wasting. And none of this, not one, name one thing in there that you can honestly say, yeah, that's going to reduce crime. That's going to reduce violence. Not one bit of it. I tell you, California's a failed state. California's a failed state. You know, I'm not even going to get into this whole thing that where an oil refinery, one of the major oil refineries, is basically going to close its doors in California that supplies 8% of their, of their fuel, because of the act that Newsom signed into law, basically regulating how much they have to produce. California has failed. If California was its own country with its own economy and what have you, it would be Venezuela. It'd be a failed country. It'd be Haiti. It'd be Venezuela. You think of any third world hellhole, California would be it, because their leadership is progressive Democrat trash. Sad part is they had a moment, a time, an actual chance to replace Newsom, and they chose not to do it. So for the majority of people who gave Newsom the vote to keep him in office, you're about to reap what you sow in the worst way possible. And for those who didn't vote for Newsom, my heart goes out to you. It really does. Because this fool, as a segue, I'm just going to break off a little bit here. Could you imagine if this guy ran for president? He wouldn't have won, because the campaign against him would be unbelievable. But could you imagine this fool as president of the United States? Could you imagine? Oh, man, it terrifies me more. He would be worse than Kamala, and that's saying a lot. But that's what's going on in California. Reason I brought it up is because this is what they want everywhere. Blue state people, pay attention, because this is coming to you. Once again, they will pass unconstitutional laws because, once again, they don't care about the Constitution. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.